So listen up, y'all. No need to rush nothing on defense. Cut off mans, get out there. Get y'all cut off. Stop them extra bases today. No mistakes.
Fundamentals. If we make a little small mistake, let's leave that be in the past. Let's keep on rolling, brother.
Stay focused.
Stay focused.
You know they got trouble.
So they not.
Let's go.
Win on three. 1, 2, 3.
Win! 1, 2, 3. Go square! Go square! Go square!
Let's go.
All right, batting order, Cornell, Terrell, Skin, Lil BK, IB, Tiny Dub, Baby Boss, Spook, Drac, BB, Black Ice, Dollar Chris, and T-Dog. Let's go.
The San Pedro Baseball Diamond is a neutral site for these teams of ex-gang members. Raymond Avenue Crips, Rolling 90s, Compton Santana, East Coast. The competition will be fierce. They all have something to prove. Watching intently are UCLA Professor Emeritus Welford Buzz Wilms and former Raymond Crip Reynaldo Wiz Reeser. Their collaboration stems from Buzz's expertise in conflict mediation and Ray's desire to correct a problem from the inside out.
You know, the gang life was more of a family and more of a protection of the community itself. And at some point, it just went way left of just violence, just, you know, senseless violence. And it was wrong.
Wilms says violence, drugs, and guns, coupled with a deep mistrust of law enforcement, have allowed street gangs to remain entrenched in their neighborhoods, a cycle that's persisted for decades.
The gangs are only a symptom of these communities that have been so beleaguered for so long. It's in the fabric of the neighborhoods.
But Wilms, who has spent years in South LA, also sees what he calls a new social fabric in the making. And it's weaving together gang members, cops, and UCLA students.
If I had a dream, it's we would find a way to really connect UCLA with South LA, because we sit here all by ourselves, and they sit down there all by themselves, and there are very few bridges between us.
Like, for most of those students, you can say, like, we're gonna, like, the teacher will say, I'm gonna call security, and the kid's like, okay, cool, because they know exactly where they're going, and they'd rather sit in the office than sit in a classroom. So a big one for me was, like, how are we able to talk to these kids without taking them away from a classroom environment, which is what they want?
Well, the basics of it came from Avis in 1998. She trained me, along with 35 other people, as a mediator, because the kind of training she did was really good. And I thought, what better place for it than in the schools? And then this idea, the light bulb went over my head, Avis. So I called Avis up, and I said, would you be willing to come to UCLA to co-design and co-teach a course with me in conflict resolution? Basically what you taught me.
More than 500 undergrads have taken the course. The first quarter is spent training them in mediation techniques. The second, and the optional third quarter, has the students assigned to some of the toughest schools in the county.
As I began to wake up to the reality of Los Angeles, I started talking with Avis, let's focus on South LA, because that's where the need really is. Every school has the need, but where the need is really great is in South LA, where conflict is part of the air that people breathe.
One team went to Horace Mann Middle School, near Florence and Western. Another landed at the Manchester Avenue campus of Soledad Enrichment Action.
Both schools are chaotic to a certain degree, because Horace Mann is just starting up this partnership with UCLA and having lost the vast majority of its students. So it took a while for us to get a footing there, know who we are and what our students can do.
I think they'll be good though, because like on our very last day, they gave us a list of students and their conflicts, and we're kind of like, okay, well, we don't know what to do with this now, but we'll hand it over to the next mediators. So at least they can go in and they'll say, like, we're mediators, can you give us the list? And they'll have the list.
Yeah, where at the beginning it was just, it definitely was a little bit frustrating, just because we were like, who do we talk to, where do we go? Yeah. And at the end it was kind of cool, because we did become like we kind of became the leaders of this program to try and kind of move forward and like do things the way we want to see them being done. So the fact that we have like backstories and stuff now, which is great, but also when they're here, they need to know that this is what we're gonna do. This is what we're gonna sit down. We're gonna do introductions. We're gonna get to know each other.
The team at Horace Mann found themselves doing much more than just conflict mediation. They were mentors, advisors, and confidants, sometimes just doing damage control. At Soledad, which is also known as SEA, the stakes are higher.
And SEA is just a unique little school that operates with less than 100 students. It's a charter school. And they take the kids who have nowhere else to go. They've bombed out of LAUSD. So we're dealing with the least advantaged students in the whole city. Our students got experience they would get in no other way.
We discussed identity, police culture, and dealing with anger. And the dealing with anger one actually came as a result because there was a fight that broke out the day that we were there on one Thursday.
I was that student when people came in to like try and do programs in the school. It's like, what are you doing here? Like you don't know anything about me and you can't relate to me. Like, why are you trying to impose certain stuff on me? So definitely it was a lot of establishing just yourself as a person within the community.
The second floor at SEA has areas set aside for the mentors, mediators, and interventionists working to reduce gang crime and violence. In one room, tacked up on the bulletin board are funeral programs. Young victims from neighborhoods where being outside comes with risks. Today, Buzz is there to discuss a project with Reynaldo and Kevin Orange, formerly a Hoover Crip.
When you're dealing with gang violence, most of the time it starts with something that's isolated between two people that don't have an understanding of how to resolve a conflict. And when you have the tools of a mediator, you get to hear and listen to where you can discuss things and somebody can see something in it where it don't cause you to have a whole community being in war for 40 years.
In 2016, Reynaldo organized a softball tournament with teams entered from several different neighborhoods, some with a long history. The Pete Carroll Foundation picked up the costs for uniforms, umpires, and playing field rentals.
Well, I started this softball tournament to unite a lot of the different neighborhoods together. But it's not particularly for the gangs, it's for the community because we want that community relationship with the gangs.
It was a good start, but Reynaldo thought it could be much more. What if each team had a trained mediator, an ambassador, creating a pathway that would take these skills into the neighborhoods?
Reynaldo came to us and said, would you be willing to train these ambassadors? And I thought, here's an opportunity for our students. And Reynaldo and I sat with them and said, would you be willing, under my supervision, to be the trainers of these ambassadors? And these men and one woman, they've all been incarcerated. They've all been part of gangs. And they want to see that end.
It's breaking the barriers. As long as, like I said, as long as we keep that saying that can't go here and can't go there, we're gonna always be stuck. We're gonna always live in that war zone mentality.
Mm-hmm. The being trained as mediators will help us deal with a lot of the conflict. And like I said, but also goal was to help ourselves. Because if we're not in control of ourselves, then we're no good.
Helen Keller Park sits at the southern tip of the Vermont corridor. Law enforcement calls it Death Alley, due to the high homicide rate.
The recklessness of these brazen murders and assaults shook the community to the core, as residents did not feel safe enough to leave their own homes.
It's where the Raymond Crips would carry out initiations and plot trouble. Today, it's a focal point for the community. And for 5 weeks, it's where the UCLA students worked with people like Green, Casanova, Snoop, and Mott in the art of mediation.
I need to take some IDs out there.
But hold on.
First of all, I have my ID with me, but
She got a badge.
but I'm not having my
I
ID.
don't see that in my head.
Why you getting so hostile, you know?
Because you stop being this grown man conversation.
Can I talk to you for a minute, officer? Yeah. I do gang intervention over here. They're just having a friendly softball game here. Actually,
You ain't one of them individuals that started the fence, though.
Oh, no, sir.
I'm just saying that, but you walk over here on us, though, bro.
But you got a whole group of other people over here.
I mean, I understand you doing your job.
Like the first week, everybody, they was tensing up tight and like, okay, like they didn't know what to expect. Next week they come in, oh, they more relaxed and they giggling, you know. And then now we ask the same question and answer session is, how do you feel today? Oh, I'm relieved. Oh, I thought it was, something different. Just a stereotype, You know, we're not a threat, and people look at us as a threat.
Our students gave something, I think, of great value, but they got something great in return, which was a friendship, because that formed bonds between them. They would really talk openly and comfortably with each other. We were no longer the people from UCLA coming down to train people in South LA. It was a two-way street where the students were getting something of equal, if not greater, value.
We already know how to talk to our own folks, but y'all showed us another way too, you know what I'm saying, without us being so hostile. With 8 different communities here on the Saturday playing these games, how many lives we just saved?
Yeah.
So if the baseball games pass without incident, which I'm pretty sure they will, then this is all a path, one of many paths to bring peace to South LA.
With additional funding from the Pete Carroll Foundation, they played a full slate of games throughout the summer.
But they got your ambassadors, you know what I'm saying? If you got any dispute, call them to you and talk to them.
Great, Wiz.
And get that worked out. Okay?
Great, I appreciate that. Okay. Thank you.
All right.
Thanks for your support, huh?
All right.
All right, man.
Yeah, majority of them have been trained as ambassadors. And we have an ambassador for every neighborhood that comes and participate. And everybody come in, knows how to deal with issues on the field or off the field in our community.
I'm not arguing. I'm with you, man. I'm with you now. It's okay. We're not doing that today. Come on, twin.
All right, home team, take the field. Yeah. Oh, look, he's fast, Billy.
Hold on. Third baseman got the ball, tagged the bag before he threw home. He hit the guy, hit the runner in the back, so he saved the first, out at third. All right, here we go.
On this Saturday, they played 4 games. The talent pool varied widely.
Money time.
Oh, yeah. Who about to sit here? We hit with the best of them. That's one of our guys.
There was plenty of spirited trash talking, but when the games ended, it was with sportsmanship and respect.
We come here each week to bring something positive to all the different neighborhoods. At one time, there was no way any of these neighborhoods could have got together in a park and did anything. And now you can have 8 different neighborhoods in a park at one time, having fun. We can all take a loss now, and it doesn't have to go to, well, I'm gonna go here and get this weapon to do something to somebody. We can say now, all right, you got me this time, we'll get you the next time on the field. That way we can always come back and we can continue to fight the good struggle instead of the bad struggle.
For Buzz, there is no doubt that these efforts to dial down the violence are working. Crime statistics offer some evidence to back that up. And Reynaldo says there are several more neighborhoods that want to be a part of this. Putting interventionists, ambassadors, and mediators into the mix is moving the effort forward, with some help from the students of Restoring Civility.
I hope that they, like me, come to a deeper understanding of South Los Angeles and the people in it. We don't understand it. We're afraid of it. Does not come naturally to most of us to walk in that environment. so that when they become, some of them are going to become teachers and counselors, that they don't shy away from going to those schools, that they actually have an understanding of what those communities have to offer.